Atlassian Creator stuff.
Welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian community's movers and shakers. Join our hosts, Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira guy Nissen, as well as the Jira amigos in the peanut gallery, as we sit down and discuss the latest going on in the Atlassian ecosystem. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life chose us.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
So I'm going to do this episode of whispering, just for
This is ASMR with Alex Ortiz.
I should eat during this episode, just so that she can hear all the crunches.
No, please don't.
Sarah, this one's for you.
I'm just
Now
happy I made it. I am.
What happened to you?
My internet went down due to scheduled maintenance from the ISP finally at midnight, and it stayed down till about 2 this afternoon. That was a 14-hour outage.
Better make sure you call and get your $2 back. I've done that before.
It's an online form now.
Oh, ISPs. Sometimes I wonder if they don't realize how much dependency we have on the internet.
I don't think they do. But I'm hoping this will finally put a stop to the endless joke that Rodney's internet is terrible, because objectively, it is terrible. No argument there. But at least they did something for once.
For once. At least it was scheduled. I think I had a car drive into our box one time. And that thing was out for a while.
Well, it was listed as scheduled, but people got that warning that it was scheduled like 15 minutes beforehand. So we in the neighborhood are not sure how much it was really scheduled.
I have a fiber line at my parents' house that goes straight from City Hall down to my living room. So I get like 5 gigabit internet.
Must be nice.
I don't like it, man.
I wouldn't know, because I had the 1 gigabit and I never took advantage of it. So I'm like, I don't feel like paying $100 for 5. So we have a guest here.
We do.
As we always do. I almost seem surprised.
We have Brandon Davies here, all the way from Vietnam. It's been a while since we had someone on the other side of the planet from us, but welcome, Brandon.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
That would explain the title of today's video.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw that. Even my company was interested as well.
We try to be punful with our titles.
Yeah,
I'm
a bit too young for that show.
Quotes. I don't know if you guys, OG Jira amigos here, if you guys can remember, we used to do movie title or movie quotes.
Yeah.
This one was close enough.
To be fair, that movie was also a little bit before my time, but I grew up in a military family, which meant military movies were every weekend.
I only found out about it because people kept telling me "Good Morning Vietnam," shouting at me, and I was just like, I don't even know what that means, but I understand now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the movie Hello Goodbye. That was like, I think, military-esque as well. I watched it in high school with a girlfriend at the theater, and like, holy moly, that was like the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Military movies are not my. I liked Pearl Harbor. Sorry,
Pearl Jam.
not even
Pearl
close.
Harbor. I like Pearl Harbor. Well, I'm thinking of the guy that was in the movie. But anyways, I like Pearl Harbor, and I think that's as military as I can get.
I also love Space Jam as well. It's a good one.
That's a group. The first one. Every once in a while, we'll put out the original Space Jam.
Yep.
I haven't seen it since I was a child.
Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I have an interesting journey to getting to Atlassian and the tech industry, I guess. I first moved to Vietnam 8 years ago after graduating with human geography degree, which most people are confused about what that even is. They think it's about the body or something, human geography, but it's more about like tourism, poverty, and managing cities and countries. So
you get a degree in tourism?
You can, but this is not tourism degree. This is like mixed between like politics, human geography, city development, kind of stuff like that. So it's anything that affects humans, basically developing. Even maybe where to provide internet, you know. So that's a whole
We could
country
use more
government.
reviews, apparently.
But when it came to Vietnam, of course, the Vietnamese government doesn't want me like planning their water supply and stuff. So, and I don't speak Vietnamese, so I had to just kind of adapt. So I did what every foreigner does here, and I taught English at first, and didn't really like that. After 1 year, I kind of just went back home. Said it's not for me. So when I went back home, I got offered like a technical assistant, basically like customer support tech in Vietnam. So I flew back for that, and it was working for like American dentists actually, for a software, dentistry software. So I did that for a few more years just to kind of live in Vietnam and enjoy Vietnam with some money. Hopefully, it wasn't well paid, but it was enough to live on. And then during COVID, I got laid off like immediately on the same day. So I had to fly back to the UK, and I changed my career to IT then. Did a master's degree in IT and computing. So computer management and IT management. And then after that, I was wanting to be a data analyst. So I came back to Vietnam again for the third time and looked for a job for data analyst, which, going into a whole new country, basically new language, trying to go into a new career with no experience was pretty tough. But after about a week or two, I actually got like a few offers. And it was from me just brute forcing it, basically. I just posted my CV in like big Facebook groups of expats. And the current boss of an Atlassian partner found me from that. So that's an Atlassian partner in Vietnam called Agile Ops. They're like a gold partner in Vietnam. There's not really many platinums. There's actually 0 platinums in Vietnam right now. They all lost their status recently with the changes. So he wanted to just convert me, basically. He told me, no, I don't want data analyst. I just want you to be an Atlassian person. So I got thrown into it and converted to the cult. And then I just had to learn Atlassian. I didn't know what Atlassian was at all. Even during my master's degree, nobody mentioned it. Didn't know what an Atlassian was at all. So I had to learn the ACP exams from scratch. And
How was that?
He told me if I don't pass the ACP 620 in 2 months, I'm getting fired.
Really? That level of stakes?
Well, he's actually a very lovely guy. He wasn't being so serious, but he was telling me to pass in 2 months. Yeah, which I did. I thought it was pretty easy.
What was your plan there? How did you get ready for that?
Honestly, I just took the full-time job and I learned Atlassian every day. I went through all of the generic courses, kind of just the Atlassian courses, Atlassian University, but they can only take you so far, right? You have to go into even the 620 like exam preparation stuff is fairly okay, not too extensive at least. I had some resources from the company as well, some small quizzes they made and stuff, but mostly I just made my own notes. And I have I don't know if it's that strange of a method, but my study method is just like to gain all information into notes and just keep refining the notes into one page. And I went to an exam center in Vietnam in person, and I just took like 2 sheets of ACP 620 notes, and I just reading them outside of the exam center on the floor. And it's in a very touristy area. Yeah, it's in a very touristy area. So just tourists walking past, and I just have a big piece of paper reading ACP 620. But I'm like laser focused on that just to pass it. I was very nervous.
I would be too. I've been in this ecosystem for, what is it, Ronnie, 6-7 years now? Ask me how many ACPs I have.
Yeah, I've been following your journey. I was commenting on your post. You can get it all. It's fine. I think that a lot of it is just learning the exam. So
I've been told that I should just go and take them, that I can just pass them right now, but I just don't like taking tests.
I'd be surprised if you had any issues with the 120.
Yeah,
I'm gonna walk out there with the 60. What is it? What do you need? 63% or something like that?
I think it's 68, 67 for some of them.
Somewhere in the 60s.
Yeah. It's like mid to high.
I've always been a big believer that C's get degrees. That lasts unless you get by with a D. So,
I mean, you say that, but again, going back to your Cloud.org cert.
So yeah, well, let's not get started with that. So you took 620, and then did you go do the rest?
Yeah, I did 620 first, and then I did 420 the month later. And then I had a little break in between. I did 120 and 520 then, about 4 months later. It took me 200 days to get them all.
Wow,
We may have to
amazing.
ask Joanna and Ree, but that might be a record.
Yeah, I was always scared because on the Atlassian page it says like you need 6 months of experience, and I was like, I have none of that. I have 1 year of experience. This one, I have none of that.
Dude, it's so crazy that you did it in 200 days because like when you sign up for the cert, you have like 90 days to sign up for the class, which then can be beyond those 90 days out. And so when I took the 520, I think I signed up for it. I waited 89 days to then take the next 90 days to get the cert.
I don't even
I
know
gave
what
myself
class.
180 days of buffer just to take one.
What class is that? Is there like live classes? I never even took a class.
The five. What did I take? 520, right? The 520 has
Yeah.
like an associated course that you can take with it, like a
Oh
companion.
yeah.
So
I rushed through those courses a lot.
yeah, no, I spent 89 days on it.
Yeah, to be honest, you could do it a lot faster. I took a break and just relaxed in the middle. But
Well, I
like,
mean, we'd also turned that him studying into content, and that was a lot of the time was we'd just taken the time with that content.
I'm gonna do 120 here as soon as I finish this summer of Atlassian. So I would say in the next month, we're gonna go start studying for the 120.
I think they're not too complicated on the Jira context side. It's more like they're just trying to trick you with the questioning. You just have to learn how the exam works more than anything. As long as you've got that down, it gets pretty easy.
I've recall Alex hearing that advice before from somewhere, and he just never believes me. I mean, the advice.
I don't like taking tests.
Yeah, you have to. It's a lot of learning, basically, learning the exam. And a lot of people are kind of not so happy about that, especially in my Vietnamese company. Like, they don't speak English natively. So when they have that kind of test, they've battled against the text, not the actual context of knowledge.
I see. Yeah, the question's not even can you do Jira, but can you read the question?
Yeah, and also it's not in their language as well, so they have to do it in English.
I mean, to be fair, I've been speaking English for 35 years, and the language is still a challenge. So it is not strictly a English as a second language thing. It is just the language they use. That being said, 6 months is a lot better than when they first started doing the exams, and it's like you need 2 years of experience, and if we're being honest, it probably should be closer to 5.
I mean, for the exams, I think it's pretty simple. For like being an experienced, Atlassian consultant or engineer, yeah, probably more experience is better. But I think the software is fairly simple to learn these days. At least for the basic stuff, not the beta programs and everything else.
Ronnie, according to Matt, you speak American. That means I speak Mexican.
I mean, to be fair, both Matt and Brandon are probably infinitely more qualified to judge if I do in fact speak English than anyone I know locally.
I just assume you were the blogger. So you obviously got to know English really well if you're going to be writing.
You're funny. You're funny, man.
By the way, Mexican is a language. If Microsoft had a little bit of a controversy back in when the Xbox 360 came out. I think right around, I forget if it was when the Xbox 360 came out or when the Kinect for the Xbox 360 came out. But in one of those two launches, there was an option where you can set your language, and they had Spanish-Mexican. And that's when I learned, I'm like, apparently you can have Mexican Spanish.
I mean, I heard this growing up. Again, on a military base, we had one neighbor who was from Mexico, one neighbor that was from Puerto Rico. And hearing the two of them talk to each other, you're like, yeah, there's definitely a different language here.
I don't know. I feel like I can keep up with all the Spanish speakers.
I mean, yeah, you can keep up, but there are subtle differences that you can pick up on.
But not enough to warrant its own language classification.
I mean, there is a separation between U.S. English,
UK English.
I mean, just even within the UK, Scottish, Welsh, England itself, all those are very different dialects.
I wonder, could you guess which country I'm from in the UK?
I am going
Probably
between
not.
Welsh and Scottish.
It's close enough. You're 50-50. I'm Welsh, yeah.
Don't the Scottish have a little bit more of a, like, at the end of the sentences they kick it up?
Sometimes.
Yeah, and also I don't think you'd be able to pick up my accent much anyway, because I've been around a lot of Americans, New Zealand, and Vietnamese, so it's like mixed between neutral now. When I taught English when I first came here, the kids didn't understand what I was talking about, so I was talking way too fast for them.
Because you're telling them that they got to go check their engine in the boot.
So they just told me to
where
slow
else would
down
the
a
engine
lot.
be?
So I
Not
slowed
in the
down a lot.
boot.
It depends on the car.
Yeah, I still don't
I
call
mean,
them
yours is not going to be, but
boots. Technically, I have one under the boot. Well, technically, I don't even have an engine, but that's neither here nor there.
I see Robert mentioning Wrexham, which is like one of the things that's put Wales on the map recently with Ryan Reynolds buying the football team. I've enjoyed that, yeah.
we when I was at university, we had a student from Wales who was very clear to educate everyone around them. Like, no, this is Wales. We speak Welsh. We're on a little thing. We're one kingdom within the United Kingdom.
Yes, we don't like being called English at all, because they did invade us and tried to eliminate our language in the past. So
I made that mistake once, and
One time.
only once.
That's like calling a Salvadorian Mexican. They get pissed. Don't ever
Yeah, I
do
mean,
that.
Again, one of those mistakes you only ever make once.
Yeah, if you want to end up with like a black guy or with a big old sucker punch across the face, call a Salvi Mexican.
Luckily,
Right.
British are usually more calm about that, so they'll just laugh it off and tell you you're wrong.
I'm just gonna go have a cup of tea, man.
But yeah,
My
the
favorite helado de-
English used to punish you for speaking Welsh when they invaded, so they
Really?
didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have our own language. They put like a big wooden cross around your neck to shame you. It's interesting.
I'm
fact.
going to be honest, though. I've never been able to pronounce anything in Welsh. It just does not work with my American tongue.
What caused
Yeah.
you to want to go to Vietnam, though? If you have so much history in the Welsh side of the world,
I
love?
was bored.
you were born.
I mean, you say that, but once is a happening, twice is a coincidence, 3 times it's a pattern.
Yeah, 3 times
You
you're
went
going
to-
back for love. That's all I can think of.
I mean, you're correct, actually. Yeah, I was married.
There you go.
Yeah, you're correct about that. Yeah,
We're having technical difficulties.
that's fine. My glasses on so it doesn't get stuck. But
So how many years have you been in Vietnam now?
It's been 8 years since I first came here.
All right, I think you said
but
at the beginning,
It's
right?
been about 6.5-ish years, like actually being here.
With
'cause I
your
went
on and
back
off?
by-
So I guess the better question is, what's your most recent length that you've
stint.
been?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years again now since I came back. I went back to the UK for 1 year for the master's degree, and then I flew back again.
That's cool. So you work out of there. Your company is based out of there.
Well, I used to be. When I
Used
first came back, I was working for the Vietnamese Atlassian Solutions partner, but they were also being hired by a New Zealand Atlassian partner, which is a platinum partner in New Zealand called Elegance Group. So they were working together, and then eventually I went to go work for the New Zealand side of it now, because I'm planning to go back to the UK as well eventually.
Do you have kids?
No, I have no kids.
That makes it a little bit easier because once
Too
you have
young.
a kid, man, moving around is hard. Look at Rodney.
Yeah, maybe in 10 more years,
Yeah, it's you're pre-30.
I'm 29 right now, yeah.
Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it.
Pre-30
So-
is like a good stretch now, isn't it? 30 soon.
So when you guys come to Team 24, for everybody else watching, right? Southern California has a huge Vietnamese population. I would say my high school, almost any Asian person that was in my high school, not that many, but maybe a few dozen, they're all Vietnamese. So there is like a little Saigon here. It's probably like 20 minutes south of where Team 25 is going to be. And so if you guys want to get some authentic, it's really funny because like Chinatown's the
Authentic.
Chinatown's the only place that I've seen this where like as you enter certain streets, like all the signs change languages. Like they're not in English anymore. And so there's a couple of streets down in Orange County and Garden Grove that they all just go Vietnamese.
You should just fly to Vietnam. It's a beautiful place. I like it here. I think I'll always be like connected to Vietnam. I'll always come back.
I'd lose like 100 pounds. I should go because I don't like Vietnamese food. I could do spring rolls, and that's about like my limit. Like, guys, when you guys also come out here, remind me. There's one of the best spring rolls in Southern California. I'll take you, but I don't like.
You'll be fine. There's McDonald's.
I'll survive. I've never got into like pho or any of that stuff. Like,
if you come to Ho Chi Minh City, they have every single cuisine in the world. Actually, like every single cuisine. It's crazy. It's a busy and big city, so you'll be fine.
I try to keep it safe. I just eat Mexican food.
That is a very interesting definition of safe.
There's good Mexican food here too.
One would hope.
I don't eat it.
Bob corrects me. Non-spicy Mexican food is a true story. Although I am trying to get better. I'm trying to get better with my spices.
So what I'm hearing is next time I come out, I need to take a turn cooking you some gumbo.
You and your gumbo. I don't even know what that is yet.
You have the internet. Look it up.
Matt Dor says I need to get a passport to go to Vietnam. Vietnam came to me, Matt. I just got to go down the street and like all the Vietnamese food's right there.
No, you got to go. You've got to go there yourself.
Yeah, a lot of Americans come here. It's mostly Americans, actually, I think, from expats coming in.
Lina wants some gumbo.
Lina will eat anything.
Probably wouldn't advise going to the War Museum, though.
Yeah, the War Museum I would probably not be welcomed at.
Oh, you would be welcomed at, but it's quite gruesome as well. And it shows what was going on at that time, yeah. Some of my friends and family came here, and they always see that as the biggest tourist attraction here. And they go there, they just come out looking very depressed. I'm like, I told you, it's history.
It is history, and it was not a great time in the world.
Yeah, I think they expect it to be like a nice experience, but it's going to be quite brutal, yeah.
No.
See, Summer, I can't go to New Orleans. I don't understand. Like, I can go to any of the 50 states, folks.
I might go.
So why don't you?
Why? I don't know. You never invite me down to Hotlanta.
That's a lie, and you know it.
I know. I heard there's rumors about a month from now.
I'm always confused why Team 24-25 is never in Australia, seeing as the Atlassian headquarters is there.
Australia. I'm still convinced that the Atlanta Atlassian just makes marketing sense.
Yeah, true.
Big ol' A. I don't know. I would suspect. I thought that this was really interesting. I talked to Mark Higgins. He's the ACE leader for the Sydney office or Sydney region, where Atlassian's headquarters in. And he got an award. So I got one of these awards here, and I was like, hey, you got one too? And he's like, yeah. I got one for like standout community or something like breakthrough community or something. I'm like, wait a minute. Why in the world would 22 years later or 23 years later, we Atlassian would be giving out an award for the city in which it originated in? And he's like, you would be surprised. Like, there's not a lot of representation here.
Yeah, I actually asked this question, like, why is it not in Australia? And they said, like, most of the customers are in US, so it kind of makes sense to do it in the US. But it's kind of worse for me to fly to the US than fly to Australia right now.
Yeah, that makes a little sense.
I mean, you could at least, Barcelona isn't as far.
Yeah, I might actually go to Team 25 Europe if that's still a thing.
If that's the thing, I guess they're gonna check and see how successful this one is.
I might also go to Team 25 America if my company wants to pay for it.
Well, we'll take you to all the Vietnamese food places.
Sounds good.
Or better yet, we'll take you to all the Mexican food places.
Mexican food is good too. I think a Chinese food in America would be very cool.
I've been promised tacos since Team 24, Alex.
Ronnie, you come over here. Right? We give you I'm gonna have tacos as soon as we're done with this chat here.
I'm gonna have tea, red tea, definitely.
I'm on Ted Lasso with the tea thing, man. Hot water in your mouth, not for me.
You can make it iced tea. There's cold water in your mouth.
Iced tea I'll do, but warm hot tea, it just doesn't have a taste.
It does
Tasting it
too.
wrong.
I don't know. I see a million different flavors of tea, and they all taste like hot water to me.
Yeah, I think the Americans ruin tea.
Do you think so?
maybe
I
I
mean-
see sweet tea a lot, which is just like more sugar than water.
That's a southern thing. That's
If
sugar.
if your sweet tea has more sugar than water, you have some bad sweet tea.
What are you talking about? If your sweet tea has more sugar than water, you're doing it right.
Yeah, I thought it was like really bad for you.
No, don't get me wrong. Sweet tea is not great for you. It's definitely a sometimes drink, but you sweeten it just enough that you can kind of taste it, but not so much that it's syrup.
Yeah.
I've had tea that I would only describe as syrup at some restaurants. And I'm like, can you give me the unsweet tea?
I'm a purist. I would drink tea with no sugar and no milk, just pure tea. That's the best
enough.
flavor.
We eat lemon straight out of the lemon quite a bit.
That sounds nice. Except
Sounds
I don't. Yeah, eating the lemon itself is more painful. Squeezing it would be good.
Well, I mean, we like kind of like an orange. I can't do the tardiness though. It's too tardy for me, but my kid loves it. Can't imagine it's any good for his digestive tract in his mouth.
Yeah, talking about
it would be a shame if his stomach had any acid in it.
talking about Team 24, we actually the Vietnamese partner won an award last year, but obviously none of us were there, so we just got it shipped to us, and it's in the office now.
I
Looks
never
really cool, actually.
understand the point of that. Like, even like big award ceremonies, like the Grammys and stuff. Like, if you're gonna get an award, why don't you show up? And two, if you're not gonna show up, then why did they give it to you?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was really worth like flying there for, because also visa stuff with the Vietnamese people.
Mm-hmm.
They have to send me, basically.
But then, but like I just, and then on the other side, like I just don't see the value of like. It's so awkward when you're up there and you're like, hey, and the winner goes to the Vietnamese partner who are not here.
They should have contacted us for like a video or something to play in the background, like the Grammys.
Something, anything, yeah. But just, like again, not to put Atlassian on the spot, but like Grammys, big awards, right? Even in what is it, Iron Man 2, 1? Iron Man 1, right? There was one of the Iron Mans where Tony got an award and he didn't show up, and the other guy, it was the first one, right? The other bad guy went and accepted the award from him. I'm like, I don't get that. Like, why give an award? Why not be there if you're gonna get an award? And if they're not gonna be there, why give it to them? Like, give it to somebody who was actually in the audience.
I think Matt Dorr has it right though.
It's about marketing bragging rights.
Also, what about people like backing out last minute or something? You know, you have to just change the award, change the name, scribble it out.
You gotta re-edge.
It's gonna be
So
difficult.
if you're gonna make it to Team 24, Alex, what you're saying is they should have given your award to someone else.
First of all, I would have liked to have had a heads up that I would have dressed nicer that day.
I mean, me and Bob were able to figure it out, and you had more advance notice than we did.
They said that there was an award ceremony and that arrangements were being made. I didn't know.
They do give you notice when you win a company award, at least. They do let you know.
They didn't tell me anything. They just told me to go sit in the front table, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because everybody's getting kicked out of that table. And I'm like, I hate when somebody tells me I can't do something, so I'd rather just avoid it. And so I checked like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, "Are you sure I can sit here?"
There's honestly not that many Atlassian communities, really, so maybe it's a special award just for you.
Well, this is the first one. This is 101 right there.
Yeah, I was surprised that there's not that many. Like, you can't find that much information. One of my colleagues was actually saying to say thank you to Alex about like when they're starting Jira last year, they didn't have any resources to look at really, and they were watching your videos.
Speaking of which, though, do you have like a Vietnamese ace?
As in like all in Vietnamese, or
well, like because your company, is there an ace in one of your cities in Vietnam?
Not really. No, they're very limited. We have 1 or 2 events. We have a partner manager that kind of encourages events in Vietnam. So there was one last year, but that's all really. People don't really do that much. It's kind of low key here, not that many people. It's also quite hard to sell to Vietnamese companies.
But I gotta imagine that there's Vietnamese users that would benefit from attending these events. I'm gonna be in Nairobi like in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and I'm like, I don't know what partners are there.
Most companies here are international companies, and like they're usually stolen already by other partners. There's only about 3 or 4 partners in Vietnam. It's very small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking to someone over that area of APAC, and they're like, yeah, there's not a lot of demand, not a lot of partners, not a lot of activity for Atlassian here.
Makes you wonder what they're using then, if they're not using Atlassian.
Very old, robust technology, war technology.
ClearCase, ClearQuest, Rally.
Honestly, a lot of the Vietnamese culture usually is like they don't like to customize stuff much. They just use a template, and if it works, it works. So stuff like Jira and stuff is a lot of setting up, and it has wonderful abilities, but it's a lot of setting and customizing to get there all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of things missing, what happened to our producer?
Did you not read Slack at all before the show?
No, of course not. Dude, if I don't read the script, you think I'm gonna check Slack too?
Our producer had to step out for a few minutes to take care of an errand. He will be back shortly.
Oh, about 20 minutes into the show to pick up. Oh.
There you go. He's
and your internet just got restored. Wow, I really got to catch up on stuff.
Yeah, most of the work I do these days is for my New Zealand partners, New Zealand, Australia, actually. So there's a lot bigger.
Is there a move to New Zealand in the near future?
I might move back to the UK actually.
just UK, but why not a smaller island? Is New Zealand smaller than Vietnam?
Than Vietnam, definitely.
Then or Vietnam smaller?
Vietnam is definitely bigger, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so New Zealand
Vietnam
smaller.
is huge, yeah. But the Wales is probably smaller. Wales is tiny. But I think I'm definitely looking to visit Australia.
Leave it to my wife to do this to me.
And the award for not reading anything goes to Alex.
I'm like Elon Musk here, guys. I don't have time to read everything. I just show up and talk. That's my job.
Oh no, Elon Musk is a bad example right now. He's saying some bad things online.
Oh man, Elon's a whole controversy in itself. But he did get like Person of the Year in 2022. So pre the whole Twitter thing, I think Elon was okay. But post Twitter,
not really. He's never
very
really okay.
Yeah, he's an odd guy.
He was better than where he's at today. I used to believe in Musk we trust, but now that's out the window.
So, Brandon, we kind of went this way a little bit, but what are you up to these days? I know you're working mostly with New Zealand partner, but I think you have something else you recently started doing. You may want to share?
Maybe. I love the look. I mean, I was also doing a lot of like tea time tech stuff. I was writing blogs. I don't know if that was into that, but I've been doing a lot of.
I was thinking Atlassian Creator stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, so I started
see
doing
you chugging water from your big old cup there.
This one, yeah, Atlassian Creator, promoting. Yeah, I had that recently. It took a while to get through customs and cost Atlassian probably $60, but it finally got here. But I got that from writing newsletters every Friday. So at first I was just doing it to like learn more advanced features in my free time and make it more fun mostly. But actually Elegance Group started to sponsor that as well then because they wanted some content. So it turned into like a bit of a side stream of income as well, which was nice. But I'm doing it the same way. There's no restrictions or guidelines. I'm just writing for fun and looking at advanced features. All the time it might be a bit more advanced than they should be. So they don't really tailor to people that much. I think that writing about the beta features of enterprise, you're getting much less eyes on it because people don't have access to that a lot of time. But hopefully it can bring some inspiration for the future of Atlassian stuff. Like tomorrow I might write about the virtual agent on Help Center, which is a new thing again in beta.
Dude, that would be a great thing to go and look at, because I don't know how to set that up yet, and I think I'm gonna have to very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more into the engineering side of Atlassian these days. I'm consultant when I need to be, engineer mostly. So I'm doing a lot of API webhooks kind of customizations, and also the advanced features of enterprise. Also Atlassian Analytics, which I really
Wait,
like.
hold on. You got to be some sort of a super genius then, because I've been coding since 07, and I actively try to stay away from APIs and webhooks and all that other
Anything
stuff.
analytics.
Yeah, where are you, like, how do these desires, passions come to you to get certified in 200 days, learn the hardest thing? Like, if there was the hardest thing about Jira, it'd be all the API stuff.
I don't know. It just was quite easy for me. I think I did a master's degree in IT computer science, so it was kind of already the conversion to that.
But then, how long did it take you to get that master's?
1 year.
I get the math.
I mean,
I'm telling you, you got like a super brain in there. Not normal, Brandon. Normal people don't go that quick.
APIs were never that difficult. I've got my head around them mostly.
I'll give you that APIs are not that hard, but getting started with it is hard. Knowing where to put them, knowing how to integrate them with, like, the API concept itself is easy, but like making something out of APIs, that's tricky.
Yeah,
even that was never that hard for me. Analytics, Atlassian Analytics has always been a challenge for me.
Dude, Atlassian Analytics is a challenge for Atlassian and their analytics department.
If you know SQL, I think it's pretty easy. It's based on SQLite, so it's like you can do all the commands with SQLite. But I think nobody uses Jira software in my customer scope right now. So it's all JSM assets, automation, and like APIs. Using some Zapier as well sometimes to connect things. So I was kind of brought up with automation in mind. We were taking automation tests, first few months. So it's always been from the start that like automation is the easiest and most complex part we will do.
All the areas of JSM that I actively try to stay away from.
I love assets. I really love databases.
Oh, that is like the worst thing in JSM.
No, I think it's my favorite part. Whenever I see a project about assets, I'm excited. Yeah.
What's the worst feature of JSM then, Rodney?
Trying to customize anything.
That's you can't say that, because customizing anything in JSM is customizing.
I mean, like on the CSS level.
You can't do any of that right now.
Do you mean worst as in like the most useless or the most frustrating?
It's the most frustrating because that's when I usually go DC and get a little hacky.
Yeah, but for us normal people that aren't in DC and we're just in the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there's a lot of useless features that I'm kind of confused exist.
Well, from what I've been hearing, like JSM is such a cheap product compared to like the competition. So I think they're just investing a lot of money into trying to bring it up to par with the competitors.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of ServiceNow migrations that happen. So also, yeah, I mean, I won't reveal any companies, but a lot of big companies are coming to us for ServiceNow to Jira migrations.
Dude, I've been learning the value of charging a good amount of a pretty penny for a migration.
It's very, very long process. It always has setbacks. So yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, but it's just like you really don't know the complexity of migrating data into Jira until you actually try it, and it's the amount of translating that you got to do and just data cleanup and manipulation. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, we had to do a migration recently with over 1,000 articles in the Confluence and all that kind of stuff. So it was very painful.
At one point, we had acquired a company, and they were longtime users of MediaWiki, had a massive MediaWiki installation. And they're like, we want this now to be in Confluence. You know how you have to go about that?
It's not good.
You have to set up a VM with Confluence like 3. We're on Confluence 9 now. You have to use the importer that's only back then was only available back then to convert the content from MediaWiki to Confluence. Upgraded through 4 because that's when they changed how they did spaces. Upgraded through 5 because that's the earliest version you could use to import to cloud. At least last time I did this, which was a number of years ago, probably 6 or 7 by now. And then you could export it and bring it into cloud.
Yeah, we had a lot of API stuff with Confluence, and like after you've done all the API migration, the images never load in Confluence, so you gotta fix all that too. It's pretty painful.
I just don't think people charge enough money then, because I'm like if I took the time to learn this migration stuff, like you make a good amount of money there.
Brent, yeah, this migration took over 2,000 hours for us, so it cost a lot of money.
So that begs another question: do you get paid in local currency or UK currency, or
I get paid in US dollars?
So you're like living the dream and then in Vietnam.
Yeah. I mean,
have you heard of what's his name? Tim Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss? Yeah, I've heard of him. I follow his kind of teachings, I guess, his learnings. Sometimes.
Yeah, in that 4-Hour Workweek book, right? He's got like you gotta earn in US dollars, spend in rupees, and live in pesos. So like,
I spend in Vietnamese dom.
So
yeah, I mean, you just need about $1,000 here to live, probably. Like with a service apartment, never cooking. It's pretty good, so it's nice here.
Meanwhile, the taxes that I pay in California, I think I spend between $40,000 to $50,000 a year just in California taxes. I need to get out of the state.
You could always move over to this side of the country.
I don't know that I'd make it that far.
You're right. You and Melt's about halfway.
I'll melt halfway.
You were talking about internet as well. The internet in this apartment is free. It's just part of the apartment. So I was hoping it wouldn't go down because someone just have some problems.
Andy's here after he guilt trips us. Andy, I will publicly announce, because I didn't get a chance to do it, but you got to talk to King Bob. I had proposed that we do the stream a little later in the day.
A little later would be good for me as well. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. for this.
Andy contacted us earlier this week. We are doing, at the end of the month, a Goodbye Scott 10-hour long live stream because we hate ourselves, apparently. And Andy contacted us because the day and times we chosen are he's not available. So he got on to us about that, which fair enough. And it's like, we didn't pick Scott's last day. I'm sorry.
I'm just surprised you didn't come back and tell me, well, Scott's last day is technically on the 30th.
I mean, I pointed that out to you, Alex, but I was going to let you pick the times this time.
Here's the logic. Here's where the logic was for this one. If we do August 31st Pacific time, right? Or we're starting at what, 5 a.m. Pacific time? Then
that's what you said.
Then it's already September 1st for him. So if there's in the off chance that he has time to join, he has no excuse to not join because he's retired at that point.
In quotes. I'm sure he's got the next thing already lined up.
But you think he's like, I'm just saying he's going to have time. If there was ever an opportunity or possibility of him joining us, it'd be the day after he's already done with work.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
I'm just saying
I would still be shocked if he made an appearance.
That was my thought process, and like, if it ever worked out, who works on a company? Well, who sets their Saturday? Who sets a Saturday to be their last day of the week either?
Yeah, it's Friday here. Don't worry.
No. The announcement was that Scott's last day was the 31st, right? Which is a Saturday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I must admit as well, talking about Atlassian Jira earlier, like data center you mentioned in the past. I didn't learn any data center at all. I just went straight for cloud. So I was kind of glad when they said they were discontinuing that stuff. I was like, oh, good enough to learn it anyway now.
I think you would have. I think you would have geeked out more though had you gone data center though. There's so much more of that hard stuff.
Yeah,
that
you
like.
mentioned you were a bit of an engineer, and you kind of need that kind of background to run a good data center instance.
Yeah, I have seen some parts of it. We did a migration from data center to cloud, and they were showing me all this stuff, and I was like, it looks interesting. Looks
So
very interesting.
This comment here from my co-host, you really literally got thrown into the Jira Life.
Yes, I did. I mean, I got converted from, I wanted to be a data analyst, like I said earlier. Like I was coming to look to data analyst jobs. And I got thrown to Jira Life from that, which has been very good for me. And I mean, I don't work for that Vietnamese company anymore, but I was always appreciative of their efforts. It helped me a lot.
I thought it was a good thing.
Definitely, I've been loving Atlassian stuff. It's been good.
It's a good, it's good software. It's a good career path, and I can't say enough about the community because that's really. I came here because it was a job. It was only part of a job, to be honest, originally, and I stayed because of the community.
Yeah, honestly, I'm very thankful that it has a good career as well. I don't have to learn C++ or anything anymore, and thank God for that.
So let's go back to assets a little bit, because it's still my mind blown when anybody likes assets. Like, what about assets do you like?
I think assets is a wonderful feature. I think it has the whole relationship and the whole like asset custom fields and the forms and having dynamic forms and stuff is really, really good for me. A lot of our customers love that.
Yeah. So when you're approaching your customers and like, what does that discovery call usually look like? Like, do they come to you because they know that they want assets, or do they ask you like, hey, here's our problem, and you're like, light bulb, assets is the way you should go?
It's a mixture, really. Recently, we had a massive Zendesk to Jira migration, and Zendesk doesn't really have like dynamic forms, so we had like hundreds and hundreds of forms to migrate. And we looked at it and we were like, we can just condense a lot of these forms into one by having dynamic, fields and assets populating based on those fields. So assets can be filtered by project, by issue type, and by other fields, of course. So like we had hundreds of forms into one form with assets. That's the power of it. And we also have a lot of app integrations for free as well from Microsoft Intune, Azure AD, which basically just pulls the assets into Jira automatically.
Yeah,
so
but how did you learn that stuff though, right? Because like getting access to like Intune is not something like you can just go and pick up off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, there's an add-on which basically pulls all the data into Intune, right. So I didn't really touch Intune at all.
But today, like, so in general, assets, right? Assets, Intune, even forms, right? Like these are not kindergarten level Jira isms, right? Like these are the hardest things about the product that Atlassian puts out. Like how did you pick these up? How did you learn them? How did you
I learned it the same way I learned everything. I just read documentation and slam my head against the keyboard a few times,
Condense. Sorry, I spoke over you. How did you learn it?
You just read documentation and slam your head on the keyboard a few times, and you hit a brick wall many times, and that's how you get along. But honestly, I thought assets was very easy. Like AQL is quite natural.
Maybe you're coming into assets at a better, more mature time, because the last time I tried to do it, it wasn't even really with assets. I remember I was working with alerts, so like incident management with JSM, and like there's a button that says like escalate, right? And so the documentation says, hey, here's the escalate button. And the next day I go back into JSM, that button's gone. Freaking Atlassian got rid of the button. And I sent them a ticket. I'm like, when's the documentation gonna be up there? And they're like, eventually. I'm like, dude, you guys can't, like, I'm in the middle of like a configuration. You just can't like be changing the UI on me and then not up to your documentation.
We use assets for everything, even like sometimes having secrets, the client secrets and API secrets inside of assets, because it changes. They were basically like the APIs can retrieve that from assets while it refreshes itself. So even small things like that, even like adding tempo logs, you can do it all through assets as well. So it has a lot of flexibility.
I might have to start revisiting assets. You might start converting me. But Lacey
it also means that the Atlassian Analytics data lake has all the assets as well inside of it, which makes life easier too.
Victor, data lake is something I need to just dig into, play around with. break things. That's how I tend to learn is I'll break it and then I'll go, oh, that's the way I was supposed to do it. Let's not do it the way I've been doing it.
Yeah,
for
I'm
all
a
the
big
hours,
investor in that.
for all the hours that we collectively spend inside this tool, like I always feel like we're not even scratching the surface on what's possible.
Yeah, I mean, from your content, Alex, I think that you're mostly like a Jira admin, right? So you're mostly kind of helping the configuration of projects and other stuff, missions, stuff like that.
I mean, I try to do it all, right? Like I'll tackle anything, but the videos, I'm a little bit more prescriptive in the videos because they got to be videos of where I'm trying to grow the channel from a user base perspective, right? So I got to make videos that apply or appeal to a broader audience as opposed to like Brandon in Vietnam who needs to
No,
know how to do this one piece, right?
I understand that. I know that. Even from my articles, if I write something very basic, like updates from Atlassian Team 24, it gets way more views than the advanced stuff. But I don't really care about the views, so I just write it for my passion anyway.
No, views are very, very much important. But yeah, no, but from a configuration perspective, whatever challenge you throw at me, I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, we don't get to do much of the basic configuration stuff because that's done in like 5 seconds for us. We focus more on the terrible stuff that takes a long time.
But so then how do you guys bid that stuff, right? Because like you said earlier, 2,000 hours, like those are hard things. Like you just can't, you're not going to do an assets thing like in 100 hours.
I've done projects of assets for 25 hours before. It was a stretch. It was not great. It should have been probably 50, but that's sometimes what the client asks.
But hours are then again relative to your skills, right? Like if I had to do the same thing, it'd probably take me 200 hours.
Yeah, we don't get to choose that much. I think it's whatever. I mean, I don't do a lot of the account management stuff. That's mostly done by people in my company. But obviously the communication is good, and they just kind of assess the skills.
But that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on you, right? Because now you got to be good enough to do it within the time box that they've basically bought for you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great company, so if you really can't do it in that time, then they will ask to, get the MVP in there, and maybe they will ask them to extend the hours if really need to be. So
I just got to figure out how Brandon absorbs data and information. That's the real secret here.
I don't even know how that happens. It just happens like a sponge.
There's just some gifted people on Earth. I'm not one of them.
My gift is not necessarily absorbing knowledge. The way I learn is I have to write it down. I mean, even if it's something digital, when I was learning programming, I kept a physical notebook where I would write code by hand just to get the different functions and key terms down and understood. So that makes it very difficult when you're supposed to be a computer expert because no one expects you to be having a notebook. But I always think everyone has that unique thing they do for learning.
Yeah, you got to play to your strengths, right? And I learned Python first. I think that was the most simple introduction to programming and computing. Python is always a good entry point.
Since we're running out of time, I got to ask a very important question. With this ability to have sponge-like skills of knowledge and information, and I'm not trying to get you fired here, but why not build something bigger?
As in build your own app? Software as a service?
Or your own partner, your own something, right? Like if you literally have mastered the things that the experts don't even have mastered.
I think my passion is in data mostly. I could technically build websites and design websites and do stuff like that, but it's just not that fun for me. So the thing that I do mostly in my spare time is data analyst stuff. So Tableau, Power BI, Python, and R as well as a language.
You have a lot of fun on Friday nights, don't you?
Well, I'm usually playing games, but after work I might do some work.
I mean, you just same difference. Most games are just data analysis too.
Hey, there's a programming game called the Farmer Was Replaced.
I love that. Yes,
you just basically program in Python how to farm.
I lost like a week's worth of nights playing that game. Which I mean, I now know Python, so there's that. But still,
it's a good learning tool. Yeah, I see that Alex also has the Master Chief in the background too.
I tend to play when I have time, but me having time, I like to tell people, I'm like, when I was younger, I remember having all the time in the world, but no money to buy games. I get like 1 or
Yeah,
2 games a year, but now I have all
money
the
and no
money.
time.
I have all the money, but no time. So like,
Well, I
and then
don't
my
have
kid,
kids, so I
my
have
kid,
time to learn. I have time to play. I have time to do everything. It's
you got
great.
time to do it all. Yeah, you're doing it right. Don't have kids. And I will tell you that the next generation of gamers is really lost on me because I don't understand how my kids spend countless hours playing Roblox. So that's like the worst game in the
Yeah,
history
should
of
be
games.
playing Minecraft. Minecraft's good for learning.
They've recently shifted over back to Minecraft, which I'm very happy for. But still, like the Roblox thing, I just don't get it. Like I put them on Halo, even though he's only 12. I'm like, they're gonna learn the good
Yeah,
stuff.
generally, I don't have. I mean, I do have time. I have a lot of time actually, but I'm doing like newsletters on Fridays. I'm learning every day. I'm doing ITIL foundations soon as well, just to pass that one and get more ITIL
I
stuff.
better watch out. You're gonna come out and just wipe out the Jira Life here.
No, you guys are good. I think like every person I've seen start Atlassian from scratch, we hire graduates, like fresh graduates in Vietnam. They always end up watching your videos first. Even I did as well. So it's a good introduction. But you quickly get over that hump, I think, if you're learning fast, and then you realize like you need more advanced stuff, which doesn't have too much content out there for that.
Yeah, well, maybe it's time to start putting some advanced stuff out there.
Time to make a video on assets.
I gotta get JSM Premium, right? That's the other problem. Is like you gotta have the $50 version of Jira.
Yeah, you should read my newsletter. There's a lot of assets, analytics stuff, a lot of advanced enterprise stuff as well. So
I will tell you that there is no shortage of video ideas. If I wish sometimes I can just turn my monitor around so people can see my whiteboard, but I have wall to wall, like a solid 10-foot whiteboard with nothing but ideas.
yeah, I'm honestly not even like preparing stuff much in advance. I'm just like, it's Friday and I've been doing this. This is a new interesting thing.
This is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Right. All right. Well, we are officially down to Rodney's favorite part of the day.
Oh, my favorite part. If I remember right, this was originally your idea.
It was mainly because I don't like Sajid and I wanted to dethrone him. Just kidding, Sajid. I love you. I just hate your game. I don't like your games.
All right. But what we're doing is quick Quizlet. Brandon, you got the script before. This is 5 short questions, either A, B, yes, no, fill in the blank. The idea is to ask the questions, get the answer, hear your answer as fast as possible. We'll give you time after each question to explain your answer, but we want that first answer to be the first thing you think of.
And then I have to approve it too.
No, you don't. It's better if you don't approve it. That's a much better reaction.
Might be, they're very different answers.
Brandon, if you could send that link to me, it doesn't show up cleanly in the chat unless one of us sends it.
Yeah, I thought I might have that. I'll send it on LinkedIn.
All right.
By the way, as you get started, you're 60 views away from being dethroned, Rodney.
Good. I want someone to dethrone me. I want those views.
I don't know how you set the trend here.
It's good to be first. All right, there is your link.
And then there's no such thing as a shameless plug. Mi casa, su casa.
Yeah, I only started this about a few months ago, so it's going pretty well.
Yeah, well, don't be surprised if they start showing up in my YouTube videos.
It's fine.
So
today's video is inspired by Brandon, super genius.
No, what you really need to do, Alex, is have him do guest shows on your channel.
Yeah, bring me on.
Guest lectures. Yeah, there you go.
You're a famous person in Atlassian.
First question here, Brandon. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars for sure. 100%.
Star Wars.
But that
I think we're losing Alex.
Might be a good time.
I said I don't care for Star Wars or Star Trek, so I'm indifferent.
I was brought up.
I know you care about this next question. All right, so next question. Do you prefer team managed or company managed projects?
Company managed, definitely.
There you go, Brandon. You can be a guest on my podcast or my show anytime you want.
I think team managed is terrible.
I kind of understand what they were going for, but it is.
Dude, if you think my
objectively-
videos are basic, there's a reason why I actively don't make team managed videos.
Yeah, I think it has a use, honestly. Like, it has a use if you're a small team, you don't want to fiddle around with that stuff.
Yeah, but it's got a use case for
usually-
like 2 weeks, and then you exceeded the usability of it.
It's for the people that don't want to fiddle around with anything and don't want to scale, which is fine. You know, it has a use.
I mean, sure. So next question, email or Slack message?
Slack. I'm not a fan of email much. My email is spammed with Jira service management articles and stuff popping up. I can't see anything in there.
I know, right?
Yeah, I check my email, but it's very begrudgingly.
I do check it often, but I prefer Slack, yeah.
All right. So we all know server query language. Do you call it SQL or SQL?
SQL mostly, yeah. I prefer SQL. It makes more sense.
I mean, fair enough. It is what it is. Like
Yeah.
SQL,
Wait, you
I'll
didn't
do
ask me the other
SQL,
one.
but JQL, I'll do JQL because I can't be consistent about anything.
That's what I'm saying. What?
Yeah, but
Brandon,
then what's the alternative to JQL, though? You can't say JQL.
People do.
Really?
can't.
That's
People
awful.
do.
JQL.
Have you met many Americans?
Actually, some. Yeah, some.
Then it shouldn't be a question.
That's true. That's true.
JQL.
All right. So question number 4, and this is the most important question, especially from Alex's point of view. You go into a workflow. You rename a status in that workflow. Is that something you could fire someone over?
No.
No, what? Why not?
I mean, people have to learn from mistakes. That's how they learn.
Fine. You get to make it once. After that,
I actually made that mistake. Yeah,
I know everybody. I think all of us here have made that mistake. That's how you get your
well,
wings.
Yeah, luckily it was for internal operations, and my boss was like, "Why has it been renamed for?" But it's fine. He didn't really care.
I forget which exam I was taking recently, but that was actually a question. What happens when you rename a status?
I thought the question was going to be like, "Could you fire a guy over this?" In the last
I know. I
exam?
was gonna say you get fired. You get fired should be an answer. Well, Brandon, it was great to know you. I didn't know a whole lot about you, but now you're apparently some sort of super genius that I want to know a lot more.
I didn't say this.
The fact that you it's inspirational. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I think lifelong learning is the way for anything, you know. You just have to keep learning.
Yeah.
That's why I picked IT mostly, is I want to keep learning every day.
Good
There's
goal.
no shortage of learning there. Our good folks over at what was it? CloudStrike will attest.
They're definitely learning a lot here lately.
Yeah, Atlassian really push it as well with like the new article every day of like, oh, new features coming, tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Great. Yeah,
Always
thank
new
you.
stuff.
Yeah,
Just
how about you
throwing
pick
stuff at
bugs
you
from like
nonstop.
20 years ago?
If you don't keep learning Atlassian, you'll be very far behind.
That's why I think I feel like I picked a good platform, because I'm like, people are like, you're gonna run out of videos. I'm like, nah.
No.
No.
Yeah,
By the time I run out of videos, Atlassian has something new out.
You're forced to keep up to date, yeah.
Yeah. All
Which
right.
I
Well, we
enjoy
are
a lot.
definitely over time, and we're losing people. So, Brandon, thank you very much. And
Turn
Thank
it
you,
over
everyone.
to me. All right, real quick, we want to thank our Jira amigos, Sean Doyle and Online Andy, our Confluencer, Ed Gale, and our Trellomies, Lacey, Sharon, and Stu Lees. And as always, we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us. Oh, and as Alex is
our book.
reminding me, don't forget to check out our book, Atlassian DevOps Toolchain Cookbook, available on Amazon or wherever you get your ebooks.
I gotta keep this more handy.
Wrong one.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira Guy, Nissen. You can find Alex on YouTube at 8Tech Tutorials, and Rodney's blog is found over at thejiraguy.com. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us live as we record this podcast every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and our other Jira amigos of the Peanut Gallery every week to ask your questions, let us know your comments, and just tell us what you're up to. But if you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay over on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. We're also available as a podcast over on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen to it and think it deserves a rating, we would very much appreciate it, as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.